special meeting of the Glendale Successor Agency for January 17th. I want to start off by saying Happy New Year to everybody. This is our first meeting back. It's good to be back. Roll call, please.
Council members Garpetian. Here. Najarian.
Here.
Sinanian. Mayor Devine.
Here. And first item.
The agenda for the January 17, 2017 special public meeting of the Successor Agency was posted on Thursday, January 12, 2017 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. First item before you is minutes of the special Successor Agency meeting of Tuesday, August 2nd, 2016.
Okay, any corrections or additions? Seeing none.
Is there a motion and a second?
Is there a motion?
From August? Was it that long ago?
I know, isn't that amazing? August the 2nd.
Wow. No objections. I'll move the minutes, Madam Mayor.
Okay. So minutes are
We need a second.
Second. Got it. Approved as submitted.
Thank you. Next item, item 2 is Director of Community Development regarding recognized obligation payment schedule for July 2017 through June 2018 ROPS. 2A is a resolution to adopt ROPS 1718, including administrative budget for the same period.
Thank you. Mr. Ochoa, to Mr. Lanzafame.
Yes, ma'am. We'll have Phil get up and talk about what probably will be one of the final ROPS that we do as we get ready to finalize all of the obligations of the former redevelopment agency.
Mr. Mayor, members of the, Madam Chair, members of the Successor Agency. This is, as Mr. Ochoa mentioned, our annual ROPS, recognized obligation payment schedule. On this, we estimate all of the costs for the Successor Agency, about $38 million. The majority of that is in debt service of existing bonds. There are some others that are outlined in your report for you. There's some other expenses, but they're minor, staff, and there's some administrative expenses. The other large item that we have is our agreement with the Walt Disney Company, which is ongoing through 2035, where we set aside a certain amount of tax increment that's generated. Those are the main areas. As I say, this is our annual ROPS. It's our spending plan. And the last thing that I wanted to say is that it is due to the Department of Finance by February 1st. Otherwise, we're subject to penalty of $10,000 a day. So we do recommend the spending plan. You approve that. It is consistent with the plans that we have made going back to 2012. I think we're down to under 40 items. We've been high as almost 150. So many of our obligations have been defeased. With that, staff's here to answer any questions that you have.
Council, any questions?
Any interesting details in our, as we wind down our ROPS that you might want to call to our attention?
There really isn't. Actually, one thing that I would say, this is the first ROPS, the first time that we've been eligible to use our bonds. In 2011, we issued taxable bonds. There was a housing series of approximately $8.4 million and $32 million of non-housing bonds. We are now able to, as I say, get access to those. We can get 100% of the housing bonds. The Dissolution Act, the amendment that they made to the Dissolution Act in September of last year, or 2015 rather, would allow us 5% of our non-housing bonds. We think this summer we'll have what's called our last and final ROPS. That is, this is everything that we're going to be doing going forward. Department of Finance say yes. If we get that approved, we get access to another 25% of those bonds, about $9 million. So about 1.9 non-housing today on this ROPS, about 8.4 million in housing dollars that we could use immediately.
Can you explain the Outback parking agreement? What is?
Sure.
What happens after the?
When I was a younger man, we had entered into an agreement, and I believe the agreement runs through 2025. because it was the 10 years added on to the sunset of the redevelopment project area. But it may be 10 years ago now, 7 or 8, the redevelopment agency agreed to pay the city parking for employees that would be coming to Outback. That was a way to attract them to that second floor tenancy. And so that will go on through, I want to say it's 2025.
So that was an incentive.
It was an incentive to attract a tenant, a credit tenant actually, to a second floor tenancy, which is very difficult.
And will they be around till 2025? How are they doing? Has that incentive been productive in the generation of
I think
sales?
it has been in that there's some presence up there, and now as the center starts to evolve, that is going to be more impactful than it was before. The theaters just didn't generate the crowds that would go along with a full-service restaurant like that. I do think it was worthwhile to have somebody there rather than the entire second floor be dead.
It's a great spot. I don't know if you've gone, on the balcony, you've got all of the Americana and all of the excitement. Bloomingdale's right in front of you.
Yeah. And a reasonably priced steak.
And a blooming onion.
And a blooming onion.
Yes, any of our parking structures are part of the RDA, the development agency?
Any
Yes.
new parking structures?
No, any of our city public parking structures that we have, like the one on Maryland, and we have 2 on Maryland, 1 on Orange. Any of these are part of the redevelopment agency that we have to dispose later?
Not
No.
Not the parking garages. There is
parking garages.
there is the units in front of the Maryland garage.
Right, we
That we need
already
to
decided on
But the
that.
structures themselves now.
Okay,
Those have
good.
already been turned over to the city.
Great, thank you.
No further discussion. Do we have a motion to,
I'll move the item.
Second.
roll call, please?
Council members Garpetian,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Zonanian, Mayor Devine.
Yes. And next item is adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Let's move on to the joint meeting